Hey, my name is Heath Ross, and in this video, I just want to tell you a little bit about how we got into working with estate planning attorneys. So, in a nutshell, we started off building websites for churches and nonprofits that dealt with food insecurity and have since transitioned to working with planning for death services. That's the story in a nutshell. But to go a little bit deeper on it, so I started my marketing firm in 2013, and when you're first starting out, you can work with pretty much anybody, right? So I was working with a variety of different people, and how did I decided to start a marketing agency in the first place? Well, one of the very first blogs that I started was right around the time that search engines were really coming about, and specifically churches were having difficulties with getting people in their seats, right, and marketing themselves online. So I started a blog around the time that I started going to church, and it was essentially just resharing what I learned at that church and that message that day. It was called What I Learned Last Sunday, was the name of the blog, and it's still out there. And essentially, after I would visit a church, I would take pictures at the church and during my visit, and I would describe what happened during my visit, and I would publish the blog, and I would share it with people that I met at that service. So when I also shared it, I'd been doing research on SEO and how to make things rank organically so people can find it. And essentially, these blogs that I was writing for the church is exactly what was helping people to find the church. So when they were searching churches in city state, they were finding my blog before they would find the church's website. And this was also the time before Google Business Pages even existed. So my blog was actually helping people find the church, right? So it was pretty fun. I did it for a while. I think I put up, like 20 or 30 different visits to churches. And through that, I started having business owners that reached out to me and said, hey, I read your blog. Like, that was so cool. I have trouble marketing my business. Could you build a website for my business so that people can find me? So I said, yeah, sure. So I started building their websites. More background, I'm self-taught how to program. I started coding when I was 9 years old. And from age 9 to really age 12, that's kind of all that I did was code. I was building a custom MP3 player because the only thing that we had back then was Winamp, and it was really buggy, and it would always crash on my Windows 95 machine. So I coded my own MP3 player, and it's still better than any of the MP3 players out today. I'll say iTunes 1.0 was better, and that's why I started using it. But by the time I got to iTunes 3.0, I was like, this is too complicated. My MP3 player is simpler now, so I still use it today. Anyways, so started building websites for business owners, and then I attended Social Media Marketing World 2013, which is the first year that they did it. Met a bunch of great influencers, Mari Smith, Marcus Sheridan, just so many different influencers that I could name, and decided, there's something to this blogging thing, and it goes deeper than what I had already experienced with my little blog about churches. So I started talking about it in networking groups when I moved to Colorado, and one of the first people that said, hey, you know what? I want a blog. I want to do it. Can you teach me how to do it? Was an estate planning attorney. So started working with him. We would publish a blog every 2 weeks. I would do all of the keyword research and search engine research to see what people were actually, typing into their search bars. And I'd tell them exactly what to write, and I'd also help them format it, right? So, the first few blogs would always take, an hour or two at least. But the goal was to get to the point that, he could write 2 blogs in a month, and in total it would take him less than an hour to do it. And that's where we're at today, right? So, fast forward, I started, building websites for churches, and I was really into, just doing it for nonprofits. And, my estate planning attorney just started getting crazy organic search traffic. And he took his business from 150K in the year that I started working with him to now he's doing over 7 figures a year. And he has over 150 blogs on his website, and he gets over 600 organic clicks every single month to his website, which, if you've ever done paid search ads, that's equivalent to about $4,500 in paid search that he gets for free every single month, right? So I said, you know what, let's replicate this. Let's do this for people who are doing these planning for death services. I'm going to take my skills, everything that I've been doing for these churches and these nonprofits and these other businesses that I've been working with, and I'm going to focus it on law firms and their messaging. And as you know, estate planning and planning for death services, this is a really, it's a touchy subject, right? We need to show empathy, and in a similar fashion to what a church website does, right? So this isn't something that's supposed to be super flashy and it's supposed to be in your face, to try to get something to convert. This is a really sensitive topic, and it requires special attention, right? So that's really the story of how we got into doing it for estate planning attorneys. After the success with that one client, I started just marketing it for estate planning attorneys. And then we started bringing on other clients who, some of them were just starting their law firm. And within a couple of months, we were getting them to their first $25,000 a month. And then, some other clients would start around 8 to 10K in their first month and be a solo estate planning attorney. And within a year, they are now doing 50 to 60,000 a month. And they've multiplied their staff. Now they have 5 different people on their staff, and they opened up a second office location. So yeah, I've really systematized this entire thing, from the website, the copy, the blogging, training you how to do it and do it effectively, the ads, and also the lead tracking and the automation. So I put this together in a complete system. It is for estate planning law firms. And that's kind of the story of how I got to where I am today.